ma'am, learning means the process of learn something.
Learning is the process of learning something.
Something, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, but learning is the process of learning something. What is learning then?
Learning means, ma'am,
Okay, take time, think about it. It's okay. Let's move on and we
Ma'am,
discuss another.
ma'am, it is a continuous process in which man gets to know new things, in which he learns new technique. It basically is a method, or you can say something which tells man what the thing is actually about, or something. Or if it's new, then it also tells the new things. So that's the knowledge. It means it gets into the knowledge of a man that what actually the thing is. So that knowledge basically is the learning.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yes, Anshika, what's your take?
Ma'am, I think to develop an understanding about something can be quoted as learning.
Developing a
An understanding about something.
understanding about something. What can be? Could be. Apurva? But not here. Gavita?
We provide learning and development to employee to improve their job-related competencies,
Right.
like skills, behaviors, attitude, knowledge.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. Absolutely. So it's see not just in the organization, otherwise also whatever learning you are taking right now, maybe in YSI or maybe during your college years, what do we do? It's basically our learning and development. That's what we are doing. So learning is understanding of certain new things which we haven't yet known, so that our skills, our behaviors, and our knowledge are upgraded. Development is a continuous process. You cannot say that I'm developed fully. Maybe physiological wise, with our body, we can always say that we are developed, but otherwise our learning and our growth will keep happening on a slower pace. And that's when it is called development. So it's a long-term process, and learning of skill or competency or any subject you can have instant over a short period of time. Okay. Sorry, just give me a second. So what is training now? So training is a combination of all these things which is mentioned here. Training is basically towards one particular goal that you want to achieve, whether it can be correcting a behavior, learning something new, understanding of something, gaining knowledge, with education, instruction, workshop way, mentoring, skill upgradation, coaching, teaching, ability improvement, long term development, motivations, and advising. All these things comes under training, and training has so many different phases and faces to it. That's why training is very interesting as well as a little complex, yet you can make it so much creative. So this is a particular model in management that we use for learning, which is called PACT. PACT learning cycle is basically used for, what does it mean? It says that procure, apply, consider, and transform. So procure matlab, when we are in an organization or wherever you are, whatever you want to learn, first thing what you do is, after understanding that what I want to learn, I will go after procuring something, that who is going to give me knowledge, who is going to give me that ability, who is going to improve my skill. So procuring matlab going out and finding out what exactly, who all, or what all material, what all courses are going to help me out in my improvement. Then apply. Apply is basically putting into practice. So learning and development doesn't really end till the time you have learned to put or anything that you have learned to practice. That means the implementation. That means the application of it has happened. And that is why the word apply. Whatever you are using, understanding learning, you have to put to use in your organization. That's why organization keep progressing, keep investing their time and energy into training and development of employees, purely because of this thing that whatever they will learn, they are going to apply those principles, those new things into the organization. So what will happen? Overall organization growth and development will happen, whether in terms of profitability, whether in terms of revenue, whether in terms of helping society, whatever the goals of the organization, we are all going to achieve that as well. Then third, consider, evaluate, and assess. Right? So consider matlab, now you have put it into practice, but now because you are also known, you have understood this particular skill or behavior really well, now see and evaluate that how things are actually going. Whether it is really, really important for you to use this particular thing, or if you're not able to do self-evaluation, seek help from somebody else who can take assessment and evaluation of your skills and behavior that you have learned and put to apply. Right? Why do we do evaluation? Because there is a company's benchmark. So we see whether your practical application of anything that you have learned new is as per the benchmark of the organization or not. And then on those benchmarks, what we do is we do assessment of your performance or productivity. That part is called performance management system or appraisals or performance evaluation, whatever you call it. Right? Then last आता है इसमें transform. So transform means now whatever gaps you have found in evaluation that something is less, something is amiss, I still need to go out and learn something new, or maybe my practical ability of application is not really that great. So that means I need to improve myself. So that part happens in transformation. That means you are undergoing that development, that your long-term transformation, that development is now going to happen with that modifications and changes and adaptation of that. Right? So that's the fact learning cycle of the organization. Then these are two differences between training and learning. What exactly is between, I mean, the exact difference between these two. So training is basically from the outside in, done by others. That means somebody is providing you knowledge and you are taking it. Learning is basically inside out. So you are the learner. It is your motivation that I want to learn something. Training is always coming from our side. So maybe here I am the trainer. I am providing the information and knowledge. You are the learner. Whether you are really, active in understanding, whether you are taking it lightly, whether I have motivation or I have to make a career is basically your learning motivation for learning. Then second point says that assumes relative stability, meaning that training actually ensures that some kind of stability comes into your skills or competencies, because you have to do this job over and over again, and hence that stability is very much required in your application of whatever you know. Wherever learning says that it's a continuous change, because learning never stops. That's the reason why we always keep saying that, right? Because every day, everywhere you go, every field you work in, there is something new that is there for you to learn. And hence, assuming it's a continuous change that doesn't end. Then third point is focus on knowledge, skills, ability, and job performance, right? So training ka focus is only this. Focus of learning is on values also, attitudes also, new innovations and creativity. How I can change the outcomes through my knowledge, skill, and ability. That's why most of the organizations have stopped calling their department of training and development as training and development. Now many organizations have changed it to and started calling it as learning and development. Fourth point says appropriate for developing basic competencies. So whatever your basic competencies are, whatever is required to do your functional, non-functional job for your behavior, all these things can be taught through training, can be instilled, can be upgraded. Whereas learning says that it helps organization and individuals learn how to learn and create novel solutions. So through your learning process, you can actually create a lot of innovative products, innovative services, innovative things in the organization. You can go as much creative as you want. You can bring in that newness into the entire system with your learning ability. The fourth point emphasizes improvement. So training का meaning ही यही है कि you learn something new, you apply it, and so that the improvement happens, right? So the emphasis is on improvement. Whereas learning says that the emphasis is on breakthrough. So breakthrough again means innovation, that you are doing something out of the box, something totally different, something totally new, which has never happened in the past. Then not necessarily linked to organization's mission and strategy. Sometimes trainings are done to correct behaviors also, to change attitudes also, right? The ultimate goal is going to be for the organization. Right? But it may not directly link to कि हम क्यों कर रहे हैं training. So the company says that because we have to correct the attitude and behavior of some people. They are doing really good, but then there is something miss. Whereas learning always is aligned with organization's vision and mission and the requirement for success. Why? Because it is more intrinsic. अपने अंदर से आती है. And training is always from the outside. Then last is structured learning experiences with short-term focus. So training का focus ही short-term है हमेशा ही, right? Because for very small period of time we are going to give you application of some skills, knowledge of some abilities, some different kind of job knowledge we are going to impart. Whereas learning is going to be long-term, very future-oriented because it is initiated by us. So, for example, you decide that during this course, in YSI ka course, I have started doing this course. Now, I really want to make a career out of this course, like HR se related. So then you start actually getting involved into maybe another course from Udemy, from somewhere else, short-term process to understand these topics better because somewhere we realize कि बहुत vast knowledge है HR में. So I'm not able to understand everything in 6 months' time. So let's involve ourselves with some more learning. So that's the case of where you want to use this particular knowledge we gave you as a structured learning. Now you are putting it into more formal and informal, long-term, future-oriented. Right? Understood? Then are there stages in learning and development? Right? A very beautiful phase basically. This is what happens in learning and development. You can actually, why learning and development is so close to my heart because when you are training people, when you conduct training programs, you can see the changes happening in people. Right? Suppose you are giving training to a group of 30 people. So 30 people after 2 days training program, all 30 people will not show much change. But even if 10 people show very good change, your training program has become a successful program. And it comes out really well. Because एक form हम fill कराते हैं training शुरू करने से पहले. These are the things that you have to fill. And then after training, we again get the same form filled. So you get to know कि कितना change उनके अंदर within these 2 days program, whatever things you have told them, whatever things they have adapted to learn, all these things. So that's how you can see. When you're in an organization and you become a corporate trainer for organization, then so it's even more beautiful. Because आप सारी journey देखते हो हर एक employee की. Every employee, how this person has joined. उसके बाद ट्रेनिंग जब हमने स्टार्ट किया साथ साथ उसका एप्लीकेशन चल रहा है बिकॉज वो काम पे भी कर जा रहे हैं. So slowly they'll do learning, 2 days training program, then they apply. Then again 2-3 महीने बाद another training, then they apply. So over a period of say 1 year, performance management से पहले, you will see that how this person has beautifully turned into totally a new one in terms of their knowledge, skills, abilities, and behavior. So this is how it basically goes. So how these things change basically, how this learning development stages happen. So it's a little bit of psychology that comes in because it's our brain that is getting all the information. So number one is called unconscious incompetence. That means, what does it mean? What do you understand by this term? First, let's understand this.
No, not being conscious about one's competencies.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Apurva, why is your camera not on? Arya, yours too. Chipti ko to chalo maine mana kiya hai. Are you guys even here or not? I have no idea.
Ma'am, I'm here only. Actually, I'm in hostel and there's some program is going on.
Okay. Apurva? Apurva is proximate. She's not there. So what do you understand by unconscious incompetence? Arya?
Ma'am, it may be referred to as ma'am, someone who is who is firstly incompetent is like basically he's not competent. So unconscious basically means that it's something related to the mental health. So someone who is not, you know, how to explain this? Like I'm not able to explain this point.
Okay. So unconscious means that you're not aware about, right? It's stored in your unconscious. Our brain has three different uh, brain cells, not brain cells actually, uh,
Ma'am,
parts of
three
brains.
different parts that
Yeah, three
cerebrum,
different
cerebellum,
parts.
and medulla.
Correct. So these three different parts of brains actually have different memory storage. जैसे रैम में होती है ना, कंप्यूटर की रैम में डिफरेंट हार्डवेयर में सॉफ्टवेयर में अलग अलग तरीके से, इसी तरीके से हमारे ब्रेन में भी होती है. सो ब्रेन के अंदर दिस इज बेसिकली गोज इनटू थ्री डिफरेंट पार्ट्स. वन इज कॉन्शियस, वन इज सबकॉन्शियस, एंड द थर्ड इज अनकॉन्शियस. So the conscious ones is basically through which we are speaking. Like, I know what to speak. It's stored in my brain, actively involved into the day-to-day things, always aware. सबकॉन्शियस इज बेसिकली जैसे हमारी लाइफ में बचपन से लेकर फ्रॉम वेरी चाइल्डहुड टू एडल्टहुड जितने भी अलग अलग एक्सपीरियंस होते हैं, एनी उतार चढ़ाव, एनीथिंग दैट हैपेंस इन आवर सोसाइटी, all those experiences are usually stored in our subconscious mind. We put them to use as and when something similar comes up. So for example, suddenly बचपन में कुछ हुआ होता है, maybe you got really कुछ जल गया, आप मान लेते हैं, राइट? तो फायर से खेलते हुए बहुत सारे बचपन में वो याद भी नहीं है कि हमारे साथ कुछ ऐसा हुआ था, राइट? अब हल्का सा जल गया, समथिंग लाइक दैट. एंड सडनली व्हेन यू बिकम adult, you see fire and you get scared, really scared of that fire, that point in time. So that is what your subconscious mind is telling you, that something has happened with you, and that's why that fear of fire is happening now. You may not even remember exactly what happened in the childhood, but still that fear, because it got stored in subconscious mind, it is coming out. Third आता है unconscious. So now unconscious brain basically is not used by human beings. There are very, very few human beings in the world which has used the unconscious brain completely. A lot of things get stored, dies down, doesn't people don't even remember, all those things keep happening. So this is what we call unconscious part of the brain. Now unconscious incompetence means that something, so there is some incompetency that you have, that I have, but I don't remember it at all. I am not aware about it only, because it has not come up to the surface. कभी सामने ही नहीं आया है, कभी इसके बारे में पता ही नहीं चला है, कभी बात ही नहीं करते. For example, lot many people call it hidden talent. So hidden talent हमारा एक again psychology का subject होता है transaction analysis. So transaction analysis usually HR में या communication improve करने के लिए use करते हैं. Transaction analysis helps us understand the brain, the functioning of brain, and how actually हमारी बहुत सारी habits बचपन से related होती है childhood से. इसको कहा जाता है इसीलिए hidden point of our brain, which is never came out. And that's why we call it unconscious incompetence. So I'll come to it कि किस तरीके से training unconscious incompetence को भी manageable बना देता है. Second portion आता है learning development का conscious competence, incompetence. That means you are aware that you have an incompetence. For example, you are going for an HR job now, right, after this course, and you realize after looking at the job responsibility, you realize कि बाकी सब तो मुझे आता है, but maybe I did not learn, say, something about cross-cultural function. Right? So that is something that you are aware that you have this incompetency in this particular subject. Third है conscious incompetence. It should not be conscious incompetence, it should be conscious competence. Be a repetition of this. So it must be conscious competence, right? That you are aware that you have a consciousness about some competency that you require or really want to have. Or we have to train our brain into understanding. So for example, conscious competence means that आपके पास competence है, but it is not up to the level you want to take it to. For example, अब communication skills चाहिए किसी भी job के लिए. So you have good communication skills, but it is not that excellent. So from good to fair to excellent, उस पे increase करने के लिए that is required. So you're aware that you have a competence, but you're also aware that it is a little bit incompetent in terms of what is required for the job right now. Then fourth stage आती है unconscious competence. ये incompetence दो बार repeat हो गया. So fourth is unconscious competence means you're not aware that you do not have this competence. These are called basically things that is completely out of the touch. हमने कभी उसको use ही नहीं किया है. You have it in you, but you have never used it for any such purposes. For example, bathroom में आप बहुत अच्छा गा लेते हो. You sing really well, but nobody is aware about that thing. So you are unconscious that your voice is really good. Right? You sing for maybe enjoyment, maybe for your own enjoyment, or maybe you really like songs, or you really like singing as part of your lifestyle. But maybe somebody else hears it and then tell you that you need to take training into that. You need to go and do it even much more better, so that you become a better singer than what you are today. So this is called conscious incompetence. Right? So हमारी जब जर्नी होती है लर्निंग एंड डेवलपमेंट की इन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और विद एनी इंडिविजुअल, it goes to these four stages completely. Right? It takes you that journey to these four stages, and it tells you how our brain can be used for developing an individual's personality completely. That is the reason हमारी personality जब हमें लोग कहते हैं बहुत सालों बाद आपसे मिलते हैं, so people tell you that you have changed. Of course, we have changed. So many things happens on a daily basis. The change generally happens. आपके जो behavior पहले थे वो नहीं है because you have become more developed, because you have become more learned about those things. Those experiences that added to all these things. और जब हम organizations में होते हैं तो हमारी technical या functional knowledge जो होती है, ability या skills होते हैं, that also increases. Also, our behavior also changes so much. I'll tell you one example. There is one company that we are attached with. They hire a lot of freshers for various functions, marketing, sales, LinkedIn marketing, for various things. Now these freshers have come without any technical vocational knowledge. Graduation करा सीधा job में आ गए. So they do not have that, like you are doing. So this YSI course is vocational knowledge. That specialization ले रहे हो आप किसी चीज में, at least you're learning. So these guys do not have that. So what they do is they are good. You can teach them training, you can teach them functional knowledge about how to do sales, how to do marketing. But when it comes to attitude and behavior, there are a lot of things which requires changes. For example, जैसे कॉलेज में बात करते हैं, अब maybe आप लोगों के वहाँ पर PHU में या tier 2 city और tier 3 cities में इतना ज्यादा नहीं होता है. Even I've seen that. मेट्रो सिटीज में थोड़ा ज्यादा कल्चर है ये वाला, यूजिंग लैंग्वेज लाइक फक एंड एस एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स हमारी डेली लैंग्वेज का पार्ट बन जाता है बच्चों में ये. Now they have this habit of using these words, move your ass, fuck yourself, go get lost, shut up, all those things, without realizing that now from college they have moved on to something more professional, more organizational. And trust me, these are the things that people are complaining about in the organization to us. Ma'am, you have to rectify these things. This is how you have to improve these guys. So imagine that the functional part is doing really well, but the training or the stages for conscious to unconscious, unconscious to conscious, you have to do is because they are doing with the habit. कि college में थे ऐसे ही बात करते थे. No, they came to organization. Nobody told them that you do not have to use this language, right? Because somehow people think that it is automatically that the change in behavior will come. But for some people, it doesn't come. Some people learn it's a professional atmosphere. I'm an adult. I need to change the way I behave here. And that is how our behavior changes. How we behave at home and how we behave in professional setup is totally different. So this is the kind of learning and training that you have to provide to people also across the thing. And it's not just about fresher. Sometimes there are people who are much older into the system. इस तरीके के ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सेटअप से आए और जो पब्लिक सेक्टर में काम करते हैं. Not all public sector, but many public sector or government sectors still allow them to use this kind of languages. अपने juniors को गाली देकर बात करना. It's a very common thing. So many males do that. So over a period of time, like companies like NTPC, BHEL, all these people have started giving a lot of time on training and development of these people. इनको काम तो बहुत अच्छा आता है, they are really good, very experienced, but somewhere they are lacking is in their conduct, their language skills, their behavioral skills. So that aptitude change or attitude change takes huge amount of time. Because आप एक ऐसे adult को जिसने 40 साल से ऐसी language बोली है, और now you're suddenly change करने को बोल रहे हो उनका behavior भी और उनका attitude भी. बहुत funny instances भी होंगे जब आप training दोगे, आपको फ्रस्ट्रेशन भी होगी जब आप ट्रेनिंग दोगे, आपका अपना एग्रेशन भी सामने आएगा. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स कम्स टू दैट पिक्चर. सो आई एम रिमेम्बरिंग सर्टेन थिंग्स जो सामने आई हैं जो हम ट्रेनिंग देते हैं. तो दिस इज व्हाट हैपेंस दैट ट्रेनिंग बिकम्स वेरी intellectual. The training becomes very as I said, you can actually see the development of people in front of you. It's actually like playing a mother to people. जैसे हमारी मॉम्स ने हमें चलना सिखाया, बात करना सिखाया, so many things they tell us in the lesson stages. So this is how training and development actually help people to do. Sometimes people tell you कि आप इतना basics क्यों जा रहे हो, कि गाली नहीं देना है, ये नहीं करना है. So we have to give a proper logic reasoning that how your brain actually functions. Until the time हम उन parts को touch नहीं करेंगे, ये आपकी reaction में नहीं आता. So your change will not happen. अभी आप हाँ हाँ बोल दो कि training program में that I have learned, but tomorrow when you go on the application, जितने दिन तक याद रहेगी training उतने दिन तक तो आप नहीं करोगे. The moment you forget, the moment वो subconscious mind में चली जाएगी training, आपका behavior फिर से वापस आ जाएगा. So it's always important that you giving them on action training. So on action training means changing their subconscious mind also. I will come to that कि हम कैसे change करते हैं. So this is how the cycle basically works, how it starts and how it ends. वैसे तो it doesn't end. Learning and development is a continuous thing which keeps going on in the organization. But इसका process क्या रहता है? How the cycle actually works is these 6 points. So number 1 is context. That everybody in the organization needs to know the company's cultures and goals. That's very, very important. तो जो भी आप ट्रेनिंग और डेवलपमेंट कंपनी के अंदर जाके डिजाइन करते हो, डेवलप करते हो, फॉर दैट यू नीड टू स्टडी व्हाट इज द कंप्लीट अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ कंपनीज कल्चर्स एंड गोल्स. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. देन सेकंड इज ट्रेनिंग नीड एनालिसिस. नाउ यू हैव अंडरस्टूड कि आपका गोल क्या है, आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है, द कॉन्टेक्स्ट. Training need analysis means you have to find out who are the people who require that training. आप उनको एनालाइज करेंगे. आप परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम के अंदर जैसे अभी हमने गोल शीट पे काम किया था, राइट. सो गोल्स है हमारे, these are the goals that we need to have for each one of us. अब उस गोल्स के आगे हम उनको पैरामीटर्स दे देते हैं, नंबर्स दे देते हैं कि इस गोल पर आपको इतने में से मार्क्स मिलेंगे, क्योंकि इसका बेंचमार्क कंपनी ने ये रखा है। अब 5 मार्क्स का लगा लेते हैं हर कोई गोल का। आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव जो है 5 में से आपने सपोज अचीव किया, एक में 3, एक में 2, एक में 4, एक में 5, जिसमें 2, 3, 1 अचीव किया है, दैट इज वेयर यू लैक इन योर कॉम्पिटेंसी एंड स्किल। दैट मीन्स वो एरियाज हैं जहाँ पर इम्प्रूवमेंट हो सकती है। सो वो पकड़ लेते हैं कंपनी के अंदर फॉर एवरी इंडिविजुअल, then that brings our training need analysis. So for example, the training sheet or training chart जो बनता है सबके लिए पूरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, चाहे 10,000 की कंपनी हो, 20,000 लोगों की कंपनी हो, it turns out for everyone. तो हर एक फंक्शनल डिपार्टमेंट में कितने लोग हैं, कितनी कॉम्पिटेंसी कम है, क्या क्या ट्रेनिंग दे सकते हैं, तो इस बेसिस पे वी क्रिएट दैट। Another way of training need analysis is during performance management system. कि आपने जब performance management कर रहे हैं, आप numbers दे रहे हैं, उनको performance evaluation हो रही है, then you realize कि this person was supposed to do 100% of these things, but this person has not done 100%. This has only achieved 60, 40, 70. So on that basis, then we design the training programs. इनको कौन सी knowledge दें, कैसी skills सिखाएं, कौन सी competencies उनकी improve करें, so that they learn. Two parts में training analysis is done when the employee comes to join your organization and you're preparing their job analysis and goal sheets, and second after the evaluation. That is why दो cycles में training चलती है organization में. One cycle is when the employee joins as a part of onboarding. तो 3 महीने का onboarding चल रहा है, उसके अंदर थोड़ी थोड़ी skill development आप कर रहे हो. Then it starts after the review or appraisals, जब आपको पता चल जाता है where are the gaps coming. So individual is very good, behavior is very nice, aptitude is good, learning ability भी है, but somehow skills काम नहीं कर रही. So how do you improve those skills is how the training need analysis comes out. Training need analysis को TNI भी कहा जाता है, which is training need identification. और आता है solution framework. So now you have understood how many people require what kind of training. So now as an HR or training and development professional, you are going to create your solution framework कि किस तरीके से आप training provide कराओगे, कब कब किस तरीके से कैसे उनके, because organizations में क्या होता है, people do not want to disrupt their day-to-day activities in company. अब कंपनी सोचती है कि हम सैलरी दे रहे हैं बंदे को 8 घंटे का काम करने के लिए एवरी डे, सो वो भी डिस्टर्ब नहीं होना चाहिए, उसकी नॉलेज और स्किल भी बढ़नी चाहिए ताकि वो और बेहतर काम कर सके. सो एज एन HR यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट सॉल्यूशंस कि आपका डेली का काम भी खराब नहीं हो रहा है और आप उनको साथ साथ ट्रेनिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट भी इनकॉर्पोरेट कर रहे हो उनके डेली लाइफ में. अब इट कैन बी थ्रू कैप्सूल कोर्सेज कि आपने ऑनलाइन बना दिए और उनको दे दिए एंड देन दे लर्न एज पर देयर ओन एबिलिटी एंड टाइम फ्रेम. सेकेंड होता है कि जो कॉमन चीजें हैं उनको इकट्ठा करके आधे आधे घंटे के, 1-1 घंटे के ऑफिस के अंदर ही सेशंस चला देते हैं, यू गिव द ट्रेनिंग. थर्ड होता है जिसमें लॉन्ग टर्म थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लमेटिक है, एंगर मैनेजमेंट है, बिहेवियरल मैनेजमेंट है, कोई स्किल आती ही नहीं है, सेल्स में है पर स्किल्स को क्लोज करना नहीं आता है. सो ऑल दिस ट्रेनिंग का अगेन ग्रुप बना के देयर मे बी अ ट्रेनिंग ऑन संडे, मे बी अ ट्रेनिंग ऑन सैटरडे, wherever जहाँ लाइट डेज होते हैं वहां पर आप उसको 4-4 घंटे के कैप्सूल्स के साथ इनकॉर्पोरेट करें. तो एज पर दी अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ areas where the improvement is required, as per the areas of as per the culture of the organization and structure of the organization, you create the solution framework. इसको कहा जाता है ट्रेनिंग कैलेंडर बनाना. सो ट्रेनिंग कैलेंडर बन जाता है कि कौन से दिन कितनी ट्रेनिंग आप कितने बजे लेते हैं किस किसके साथ. This training calendar is then rotated inside the organization to everyone. For some trainings, जहाँ पर आपको external trainers बुलाने पड़ते हैं, like people who are specialized, skilled. अब सारी ट्रेनिंग तो कंपनी के अंदर एक कॉर्पोरेट ट्रेनर नहीं कर सकता है. So for them, you either call them from outside या फिर जो functional heads हैं, अगर भी बहुत अच्छा है ट्रेनिंग में पार्ट करने में, उनको यूज करते हैं. So then you block their calendars also so that they are available. You give them the framework कि इस तरीके से आप ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम बनाएंगे, ये पीपीटी बनेगा या इस तरीके से स्किल्स बनेंगे, चार्ट्स बनेंगे. So then they help you in finding out. Fourth is program design. So now it's basically the program design. कि आज आपकी मतलब इस वीकेंड पे आपकी ट्रेनिंग है, so this is how you are going to impart the training. क्या क्या करेंगे उसके अंदर आप, that is what you have to design your complete program for that. कितने देर का लेक्चर ट्रेनिंग होगा, बिकॉज लेक्चर ट्रेनिंग में क्या प्रॉब्लम आती है कि पीपल स्टार्ट फीलिंग स्लीपी. जितने हम एडल्ट में बढ़ते चले जाते हैं एडल्टहुड में, वी बिकम वेरी स्लो इन आवर लर्निंग थ्रू लेक्चर मोड. जैसे हमारे साथ भी क्या होता है, आई एम गिविंग लेक्चर्स, इफ आई डोंट इंटरेक्ट विद यू और यू डोंट इंटरेक्ट, थोड़ी देर में बासी आना शुरू हो जाती है, बोरिंग लगने लगता है, स्लो हो जाता है. सो दिस इज normal, this is human tendency, and this happens with almost 80% of adults. So उसमें हमें क्या करना है कि कितनी देर इंसान एक्टिव रहता है. अगेन देयर इज अ साइकोलॉजिकल एनालिसिस ऑफ इट कि 40 मिनट्स के से ज़्यादा लेक्चर मोड ना रखें. 40 मिनट्स के बाद देन वी इंट्रोड्यूस गेम्स, exercises, activities, case studies, role plays, something or the other, so that we introduce changes in a fun way. जितना एक्शन ओरिएंटेड ट्रेनिंग रहेगा, एक्शन ओरिएंटेड मतलब यू आर आस्किंग देम टू डू थिंग्स थ्रू एक्टिविटीज, थ्रू एक्सरसाइज, उतना ज्यादा लर्निंग एबिलिटी हमारी जल्दी से एक्सेसिबल होती है, जल्दी होती है. और मैं भी शो देम वीडियोस, सम इंटरेस्टिंग audios, clips, all those things. So this is how. So if it's an 8 hours program of training, then you can incorporate all these things. थोड़ा थोड़ा करके कितने इंटरवल पे क्या करना है, किसके बाद क्या करना है. So that's called designing a training program. Right? Then आता है आपका डिलीवरी, कि आप कैसे डिलीवर करने वाले हो प्रोग्राम. डिलीवरी मतलब Amazon वाली डिलीवरी नहीं. डिलीवरी मतलब किस तरीके से आप देने वाले हो ज्ञान. Right? So whether it is lecture mode, online, offline, classrooms, mic के साथ, personally जाके, on the job. So there are various techniques and methods. So we will take you through that in the PPT in the coming. This is called the delivery of program. Then follow up. So no training program that you have conducted, no kind of training and learning is complete till the time you have done the evaluation or you have done the follow up. अब वो फॉलो 3 महीने बाद आप एक एग्जाम या क्विज करके कर रहे हो या 6 महीने बाद कर रहे हो, however you are doing, every day कर रहे हो, that is totally up to the trainer. तो जो corporate trainers होते हैं organizations के अंदर, their job is to do the follow up of these training. वो आपकी ट्रेनिंग हुई थी, 1 महीना हो गया है, let's do some quick capsule program. आपको दोबारा से उसके थोड़े बहुत जिस दे देते हैं, क्रक्स दे देते हैं कि this is what you learned. To do it over a period of time, 2-3 बार जब ऐसा करते हैं तो हमारा ब्रेन उसको स्टोर कर लेता है. Then we become more active in using those programs. एक बार के ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम को अटेंड करने से बहुत कम लोगों के अंदर प्रॉपर चेंजेस आते हैं. Long term changes, if we want to bring in somebody, long term development, if we want to bring in somebody, then we have to use it the follow up. बीच में थोड़ा सा उनको इंजेक्शन देना. This is how things are. So this is called the learning and development cycle. So what is the, yeah,
In the last slide, there were stages mentioned, right? So those stages are in a chronological manner. No, before that slide. Yeah, so these stages are in a chronological manner, or like we'll find a specific person with a conscious incompetence or conscious competence. I had a doubt
के
like this.
अंदर में stages का मतलब होता है कि that some people are at conscious incompetence right now, some people in some skills are at unconscious incompetence. So you will have to find out कि आपकी exactly situation क्या है. For example, you hire somebody in sales department से. So sales department की आपको पता है कि ये 5 competencies हैं जो मुझे चाहिए in every individual who is joining. Designation doesn't matter. The title can be कि कोई experience है तो उसको हमने sales head बना दिया, कोई fresher है तो हमने उसको sales executive बना दिया. Right? So designation doesn't matter. Sales as a function has 5 competencies जो हमने अपनी कंपनी के लिए निकाल रखी है. 5 से ज़्यादा होती है, but 5 पे हम ज़्यादा फोकस रखते हैं क्योंकि important रहती है. So now in 5 competencies, we will see कि इस वाले के अंदर, इस employee के अंदर कौन सी competency कम है या ज़्यादा है. अब उन competency पे हम उनको टेस्ट करते हैं, assessment cycles चलाते हैं, या इंटरव्यू के टाइम पर हमने assessment किया तो हमें पता चल जाता है. So some people are not aware completely, एकदम blank है बिकॉज फ्रेशर है, कंपनी में आए हैं, या फ्रेशर नहीं भी है, कंपनी में आए हैं, दे डोंट नो दे आर वेरी गुड एट पर्सुएशन. पर्सुएशन मतलब unknowingly कर लेते हैं, but they don't know that they have this particular skill. So that's called unconscious incompetence. कुछ भी नहीं पता उस competence के बारे में. You make them aware. You bring that to the upper level, the conscious mind, through training and development. ऐसे ही कुछ लोग होंगे जिनको पता है I have these skills, but I don't know how to utilize it properly for the organization or for my function. Or I have this competency, but I don't know कितने level तक मुझे पता है इसके बारे में. So I need to know more about it so that I can learn. So that is basically your conscious incompetence. That's how you find out through competencies only that what kind of incompetencies people have, and then your training program. इसीलिए suppose आपने I don't know whether you have joined ever or thought of, मतलब देखा है या आसपास कि इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग कोर्सेज होते हैं, बहुत सारे अच्छे इंस्टीट्यूट जो चलाते हैं, वो 3 लेवल्स पे चलाते हैं, इंटरमीडिएट, एडवांस और देन इवन मोर देन एडवांस वाले. So why they do it? Not basic, intermediate, and advanced. Sorry, these three. So basic is basically they teach communication proper. मतलब कैसे sentence form करना है, grammar कैसे जोड़नी है, तो वहाँ से start करते हैं एकदम basic से. Intermediate में उनको पता है कि इसको grammar ठीक ठाक पता है, but the person doesn't know how to create sentence form. Has been, had been में confusion है. जनरली लोगों को वहीं पर सबसे ज्यादा दिक्कत आती है कि कहाँ यूज करना है, पास्ट पार्टिसिपल को यूज करना है या नहीं करना है. सो ऑल दिस थिंग्स. सो दैट मीन्स वो सेकंड स्टेज आ गई. थर्ड स्टेज इज जहाँ भी कम्युनिकेट वेल, बात भी कर लेते हैं, फ्लुएंसी भी ठीक ठाक है, बट उनकी वोकैबुलरी वीक है. दे डोंट हैव टू गुड वर्ड्स इन देयर वोकैबुलरी. दे फॉर्म सेंटेंस, बट दे डोंट नो कि सेंटेंस के आगे फुल स्टॉप लगाना है या कॉमा लगाना है इन रिटन. So then you give them that advanced level training. So this is how organizations also create 3 different stages. जब हम ग्रुप बनाते हैं लोगों के कॉमन ट्रेनिंग के, तो इसी बेसिस पे बनाते हैं कि these are the people who are very basic, very fresher, they don't know. Fresher not from the degrees, but fresher in the skills that is required. Then we create a group of people जिनका एक commonality आता है कि इनको ये चीज आती है, पर इससे ज्यादा इनको सिखाना है. फिर ग्रुप बन जाता है एक का कि जिनको एंगर मैनेजमेंट की प्रॉब्लम है कंपनी के अंदर, उनको आपने दे दिया. तो दैट्स अ वेरी स्पेसिफिक ग्रुप कि उनको अपने बिकॉज उनकी हैबिट हो गई है इस तरीके से एंगर दिखाने की, एग्रेशन दिखाने की, मे बी फ्रॉम चाइल्डहुड फैमिली ने नहीं मना किया. अब दिस पर्टिकुलर पैटर्न इज सीन इन मेनी मेल्स बेसिकली, बहुत ज्यादा. जब मेल के साथ आप काम करते हो कंपनी में, सो इट्स वेरी कॉमन. बिकॉज बचपन में पेरेंट्स ने ही रोका कि लड़का है कोई नहीं, करने दो, अच्छी बात है. फिर जवानी तक आते आते करने तो अच्छा है, बीवी को दबा के रखेगा, बहुत बढ़िया है ना. सो दिस इज हाउ आवर फैमिलीज पैट्रियार्की सिस्टम इस तरीके से ट्रेन कर देती है. तो जब तक वो ऑफिस में पहुंचते हैं प्रोफेशनल सेटअप पे, उनको लगता है कि इट्स काइंड ऑफ पावर, इट्स काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स दैट आई कैन यूज टू अब्यूज पीपल और टू शो माय पावर एंड स्टेटस ऑन पीपल. बट दे डोंट नो दैट इट्स नॉट करेक्ट. पीपल विल नॉट टेक इट. घर के अंदर तो सबसे ले लिया बिकॉज मम्मी पापा ने सपोर्ट किया. अब ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में मम्मी पापा सपोर्ट नहीं करते हैं बिकॉज दे डोंट एग्जिस्ट. दैट्स व्हेन द करेक्शन स्टार्ट्स हैपनिंग. सो दे डोंट इवन नो. उनको पता है कि एंगर है, गुस्सा कर रहे हैं, गाली दे रहे हैं, मतलब एमसीबीसी तक पहुंच जाती है बातें ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में. बहुत लोगों की हैबिट हो जाती है. तो देन यू हैव टू करेक्ट दैट फ्रॉम वेरी बेसिक्स. उनको वो बचपन वाली चीजें सिखानी पड़ती है कि मैनर्स क्या होते हैं, एटिकेट्स क्या होते हैं, ये कल्चरली ठीक नहीं है सोसाइटी के अंदर इतना रहने में, these things are not. So this is how you're training. So imagine a 40-45-year-old people, you're training just this basic thing. बहुत रेजिस्टेंस आएगी, बहुत रेजिस्टेंस. मतलब they will say no to attend training program. They will find out different excuses. मेरी आज वो मीटिंग है, वो मीटिंग है. But it's your job as an HR learning development professional कि उनको एकदम खींच के पकड़ के लेकर आना पड़ता है. बहुत सारे लारे लत्ते देने पड़ते हैं. पंजाबी में भी बहुत लारे लत्ते in the sense that you have to give them some kind of motivation कि हम आज आपको अच्छा लंच कराएंगे in the training program. We are calling for different snacks. We will give you some rewards after this. Certificate मिलेगा training का. So all these things are motivators that you have to incorporate in your training program. So this is how this particular stages work. It can work in any human being. So you as a person or I as a person, हम भी किसी ना किसी competency पे unconscious incompetence पे होंगे. We won't get to know till the time we are put on job for that organization में. जब हम job पे चले जाते हैं, हमें तब realize होता है कि यार ये थोड़ा बहुत तो ज्ञान होना चाहिए इसके बारे में. फिर जब आप ट्रेनिंग लेना स्टार्ट करते हो, you become very good in that because somewhere you were just unconscious about this thing, but it existed within you. So that's how these stages work.
Okay, ma'am.
So now आता है अब आपका why learning and development क्यों होता है. Basically it's like पहले आना चाहिए था, but it's all right that we are doing it now. That why it is important for employees in the organization to have proper learning and development opportunities. So number one is basically for better career opportunities. It opens up. जैसे हम succession planning की बात कर रहे हैं, better career opportunities की बात करते हैं within company, it opens up different kind of areas for you. There is even a very beautiful quote said by somebody really good person. I don't remember the name of this fellow. He said that कि अगर आपकी कंपनी के अंदर incompetent लोग हैं, so that is your major worry. Don't worry about कि मैं उन पे पैसा खर्च कर दूंगा और वो छोड़ के चले जाएंगे. Worry about कि they are with you and you are not really there. So that's very important thing to understand that if your organization, see organization is a structure of people. प्रोडक्ट सर्विसेज इकट्ठे मिलके एंड देन यू हैव टू डू इट. अगर आप अपने प्रोडक्ट्स को इम्प्रूव नहीं कर रहे हो, सर्विसेज को इम्प्रूव नहीं कर रहे हो और एम्प्लॉइज को, पीपल को इम्प्रूव नहीं कर रहे हो, दैट मीन्स द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विल नेवर डेवलप. दैट्स व्हाई सो मेनी कंपनीज स्टार्ट एवरी डे, they die down eventually purely because of these reasons. Ki one, they don't know what they are doing. Second, they don't develop their people. They don't give importance to their people. So better career opportunities is one way of bringing learning and development. I mean, this is one of the benefits that it provides. Second is motivation. So some people join organization. Money is yes a very big motivator for everyone because it fulfills all your utilities. But what more than utility? Utility से ज़्यादा हमारे लिए क्या important है कि challenging work हो, कुछ excitement हो काम करने में, something new that you're putting. Some motivation that is required because सुबह अगर उठ के आपको 9 बजे लग नहीं रहा है कि क्यों मुझे ऑफिस जाना है, क्यों मुझे वर्क करना है, why my work, that means that motivation is not there. That means you are in a wrong job or you are not fully trained to do that job. So learning and development opens up your motivation to come to job every day. फिर आता है face challenges. Now a lot of challenges comes, lot of problem comes on a day-to-day basis. कभी कोई प्रॉब्लम हो गई, कभी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में फंड्स नहीं है, कभी प्रॉब्लम है कि मार्केट में लोगों ने कुछ गलत कह दिया है. डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स कीप्स कमिंग फॉर एवरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. सो वो चैलेंजेस को फेस करने के लिए यू नीड टू बी aware about your analytical skills, your problem solving skills, your decision making skills. All these competency skills are really required to face challenges. Fourth आता है industrial safety. So now for manufacturing setup companies or maybe for others also a little bit, but largely for manufacturing setup, it's very important that everybody is aware about industrial safety. सेफ्टी हैजर्ड्स क्या होते हैं, क्या क्या दिक्कतें आ सकती हैं. केमिकल फैक्ट्री में काम कर रहे हो, कौन से केमिकल्स जो है वो हार्मफुल हैं, कौन से नहीं है, किस तरीके से यूज करना है, वेदर यू आर पुटिंग ऑन मास्क, हाथ में ग्लव्स है या नहीं है, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. if you are creating steel structures or iron structures की कहाँ से खिलने का खतरा ज़्यादा है, so all those things. So these are called hazardous things in organizations. So आपको उनके बारे में ये पता होना जरूरी है कि industrial safety is so important. Then up to date with newest technology, very important for everyone. जो भी नई technology आ रही है, because technology now is being used in every area of your life, whether you are in HR, finance, marketing, किसी भी उसमें हो आपको. Artificial intelligence has taken over so many things. In fact, after Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, जो भी चल रहा है, it's basically more on artificial intelligence. कि आपने कोई चीज सर्च करी, उन्होंने पकड़ लिया, now they will show the results related to that. Even if अगर आप रील्स बनाते हो या देखने की हैबिट में हो, तो वो रील्स भी आपको वही बार-बार दिखाता रहेगा जिस तरीके की रील्स आपने पहले देखी करी. So artificial intelligence has taken over everything. जैसे बीच में जब कंप्यूटर आया था तो MS माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऑफिस वाज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर एवरीवन टू नो, इवन नाउ इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो दीज आर बेसिक क्राइटेरिया कि आपकी जॉब के साथ साथ फंक्शनल नॉलेज के साथ जो भी लेटेस्ट चीज टेक्नोलॉजी में है रिलेटेड, दैट यू शुड बी अवेयर अबाउट. देन लास्ट इज बूस्ट एम्प्लॉय मोरल. तो एम्प्लॉय का मोरल तभी बूस्ट होता है जब आप उनको कोई डेवलपमेंट कर रहे हो. दे शुड बी एबल टू सी देयर ओन ग्रोथ विद इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. अगर उनको अपने आप को ग्रो करता हुआ नहीं दिख रहा है कंपनी के अंदर और कंपनी भी ग्रो करती हुई नहीं दिख रही है, तो देयर आर चांसेस दैट दे माइट चेंज द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. तो आपने आज तक जितना पैसा, जितना टाइम, जितना उनको सिखाने में यूज किया अपना, वो सब वेस्ट चला जाता है. सो इट्स ऑलवेज बेटर दैट यू कीप बूस्टिंग एम्प्लॉय मोरल थ्रू ट्रेनिंग, different learnings, development, and you learn and develop as an organization yourself. So जब हम individuals की बात करते हैं organization के अंदर, this particular bit is called learning and development. जब हम organizational की बात करते हैं, organization level पे कि as an organization हम कितने बड़े हुए हैं, कितने grow किए हैं, उसको कहा जाता है OD, which is organizational development. Organizational development comes under strategic human resource management. So generally, people at the senior level, leadership level in HR design strategic goals around organization development. We'll come to that in the next class. That's the last topic. All right. So, what is the importance of training? What does it bring for people and organization both? Number one is better utilization of resources. So, resources can be, if I am trained properly, I know कि मुझे अपना आप का utilization कैसे करना है, because I am also a resource, a human resource, and I will use other resources actively or smartly. कि बिजली का खर्च कितना करना है मुझे पता है, machines को किस तरीके से operate करना है I know, product services है उनको कैसे use करना है I know. So for every resource that we use in the organization, our better utilization automatically happens through learning and development. Second, less wastage. For sure, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्रीज के अंदर बहुत वेस्टेज होता है. जो एंड प्रोडक्ट्स बन के आते हैं वो कम, अभी तो मशीन से ज़्यादा बेटर हुए हैं बिकॉज न्यू डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ मशीन्स हैव कम इनटू द मार्केट. बट अर्लियर व्हाट यूज्ड टू हैपन, जब मशीन्स इतने ज़्यादा स्मार्ट नहीं थे और लोग भी स्किल्ड नहीं थे, तो लॉट ऑफ वेस्टेज यूज्ड टू हैपन. 9 घंटे काम करने के बाद भी 6 अच्छे प्रोडक्ट ही बाहर निकलते, पैकेजिंग करके सब करके. So that less wastage can happen when you train your people really well in how to use machine, how to do different things in time period. अब अगर आप मान लो आपने एक secretary रखी है अपनी, you are at that stage. Now your secretary doesn't know basic job of typing the things properly. आपने dictation दे दी, आपने बोल दिया कि ये letter छाप के भेजना है. Now you gave the dictation, you told what to write. अब somebody doesn't know कि मुझे shorthand कैसे use करना है, तो shorthand को फिर typing में convert नहीं करना आ रहा, तो whatever the person is going to produce after that is basically wastage. So the basic requirement for secretaries nowadays तो ठीक है shorthand की इतनी ज़रूरत नहीं है, but still shorthand is still required for secretarial purposes because dictations तो आपको अभी भी लेने ही पड़ते हैं. स्मार्ट लोग क्या करने लग गए हैं आजकल कि यू टेक अ डिवाइस जिसमें आप रिकॉर्ड कर लेते हैं, तो आपके सीनियर ने आपको जो डिक्टेशन दी है, देन फिर आप अपने हिसाब से उसको दोबारा से टाइपिंग में यूज कर सकते हैं. Depends upon what kind of training you are giving so that the wastage is getting less. It's just an example. Third is increased profitability. Of course, with learning and development, with good training and development programs, profitability of organization increases. There are so many researches being done. There are so many facts and figures available everywhere. Every year, a lot of companies do this thing कि जो companies training regularly कराती है, and regularly meaning कि सिर्फ tick marks लगाने के लिए नहीं कि ये training कर दिया, ये कर दिया. Proper training program with follow-up, with effectiveness measurement. Then they will surely increase their profitability. Fourth is increases competitiveness. Now your competitors are doing such good work, then you need to know and make it sure that whatever you're doing is at par at least with your competitors. Now वो कर रहे हो ना आप भी कर सकते हो. If not better, then at least at par. So your competition, your competitiveness to fight or to see whether the competition is not just growing and you also have that market share, it's very important that you train your employees. Then आता है fifth part is reduced employee turnover. People who train, who get regular training in the organization, their competencies and skills improve. They don't leave your organization for longer. They stay. So that's why the employee turnover is very less. They don't really jump from one organization to another because they know कि मैं यहाँ इतने टाइम से रुका हूँ उसके बाद मुझे इतना ज़्यादा यहाँ पर और वो मिलने वाला है benefit. And last is develop positive attitude. So ultimately, when you are changing, you see that, you as a human being, or you as a human resource has changed your capacity, your competency, your skill, your knowledge. So वो positive attitude धीरे-धीरे develop शुरू हो जाता है because you are becoming better. And when we become better, for example, अभी हमें किसी पार्टी में या शादी में जाना होता है, so we give importance to certain things कि मुझे dress up कैसे होना है. My dress is obviously what we are wearing right now. We won't wear it and go to parties. You will give time and effort. बाल भी अच्छे करेंगे, face भी अच्छा करेंगे, So we give time and energy into it. And when you land up into those parties or social circle, marriages, you feel confident, you feel happy because you have given so much of effort. And when people compliment you, you actually see कि हाँ चलो मेरी इतनी मेहनत का हमारी भी compliments मिले. So that's what happens with training and development. When you are training somebody, that training is basically used into application. फिर उस application से performance management अच्छा आता है, आपको appraisal अच्छा मिल रहा है, आपकी growth अच्छी हो रही है, आपको promotion मिल रही है. So that automatically develops positive attitude in employees. So that's how this entire thing works. Let's take a break and then we come back after a break. And then we continue. Are you guys back?
Yes, ma'am.
Why तबीयत अभी भी ठीक नहीं लग रही है तुझे? What is still can't able to sleep?
Hello.
जी सुन रहे हैं.
Yes, ma'am. No.
मैं कहा था मेरे को याद दिलाना. I'll give you some good meditation.
Okay, ma'am.
एक बार याद दिला दूँ. I'll send you that link. इसको सुनोगे ना सोने से पहले then it will help you.
Okay, ma'am.
So let's continue. आगे बढ़े. Any doubts so far? So now what are the methods? अभी तक हमने पढ़ा कि हम डिजाइन कैसे करेंगे, ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम कैसे बनेगा. How are you going to do? What are the benefits? Cycle क्या रहेगी? All that. So now what is it basically through which you will impart those training and development? कौन से methods use करते हैं? So these are older methods also in these slides, and the new methods are basically imparting training online. So you can actually create your own session, उसको बार बार चला के record करके then you can give it to people. So you can actually use good use of technology in terms of creating that. So what are the common methods that we generally use for training and development? One is classroom programs. बहुत पुराना but quite successful. Why? Because everybody is in the classroom. Maybe yesterday I was doing a training program online. 60% लोगों का ये कहना था कि मैम ये ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स क्लासरूम में होते सो वी वुड हैव बीन बेटर, लर्निंग वुड हैव बीन बेटर. सो अभी तक भी ऐसे फीडबैक आते हैं that classroom programs are successful. One, because the teacher is always in front of you, the trainer is always in front of you. You can see that person. You can physicality में जब हम किसी को देखते हैं या बात करते हैं या सोशली मिलते हैं, so always it has a better impact. Second, फिर जो आप चीजें एक्सरसाइज करने को कह रहे हैं, so that is much better. The outcomes are much better than in online. बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो ऑनलाइन में हम कर ही नहीं पाते हैं. So that is why classroom programs are really successful and better. Then second है mentoring and coaching. So mentoring and coaching generally group mentoring और coaching भी हो सकती है, but one to one basis पे बहुत अच्छा चलता है. One to one basis पे you can actually develop the person really well. You can do it very smartly. कोचिंग के अपने स्टाइल्स होते हैं अलग, मेंटरिंग के अपने स्टाइल्स होते हैं, एंड दीज स्टाइल्स दैट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द साइंटिफिक रिसर्च मेथड्स. किस तरीके से आप किसी बंदे को कोचिंग दोगे तो वो कैसे इंप्रूव करता है करती है, किस तरीके से आप मेंटोरिंग में क्या क्या आप टिप्स डालते हैं जो इंप्रूव करता है, एंड हाउ ट्रेनिंग इज डेवलपमेंट फ्रॉम मेंटरिंग एंड कोचिंग, वो सब चीजें. सो मेंटरिंग एंड कोचिंग जनरली इज यूजफुल जहां पर आप ऑलरेडी लीडरशिप पोजीशन पे हो कंपनी में. अब नाउ सपोज अब कंपनी के जो ओनर्स हैं, फाउंडर्स हैं, उनको लगता है कि ये 3 लोग अच्छे हैं जो सीईओ बन सकते हैं. ऑल 3 आर इन कंपनी. So all what these people start doing is these founders and start spending time mentoring and coaching these people individually. Right? जैसे जैसे उनको लगता है कि इस मेंटरिंग और कोचिंग से 3 महीने में 6 महीने में इम्प्रूवमेंट आ रही है, जिसके अंदर ज्यादा इम्प्रूवमेंट आ रही है, जो ज्यादा आउटकम के पास आ जाता है, then this person they select that person to for CEO role. Succession planning usually ऐसी होती है जहाँ पर आप और डे टू डे उसमें हम मैनेजर्स भी यूज करते हैं. तो जैसे आपका कोई मैनेजर है, सपोज यू ज्वाइन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, आपके एचआर मैनेजर हैं, वो लगता है उनको लगता है कि गर्विता इज वेरी गुड एट दिस, सो दे स्टार्ट कोचिंग यू वन ऑन वन बेसिस. ट्रेनिंग होता है कि जिसमें आपको मेथोडोलॉजी से सब पढ़ा दिया. कोचिंग इज मोर पर्सनल. कोचिंग में क्या फायदा होता है, जैसे स्पोर्ट्स कोचिंग होती है, राइट? हाउ डू स्पोर्ट्स कोचिंग हैपन, that they tell you these are the things that is important for your success. Then the person starts putting their own time efforts into learning that. So वो इस तरीके से कोचिंग को हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के अंदर भी यूज कर सकते हैं. 1-to-1 basis where you have a coach always available for you. You can go back, ask questions, they can correct you, they can tell you. मेंटोरिंग थोड़ा सा मोर मेच्योर वाला होता है. सो मेंटोरिंग में यू डोंट रियली गिव डे टू डे टिप्स. Mentoring में you show them a path कि ये this is the direction, this is the destination that you should reach. And as per your own knowledge and success, we tell them that this is how I have developed this. You can always change your path. You can always change the things that you are going to do in that particular path. So that's mentoring, where you are just showing them direction, guidance, things. Coaching is more personal, one to one tips के साथ share करते हुए question answers back and forth होता रहता है. Right? So that's the difference between two. That also happens in organization. Now, case study, you all know that what case study method is. So, case studies are basically organizations में चीजें हो चुकी हैं, solutions भी मिल चुके हैं, things have improved or not improved, losses हुए, profits हुए उस time पे, but हुआ. So that case is prepared, that is ready. So now we give those cases to people for learning, better learning. कि अगर आप वहाँ होते, so what you do, what you would have done. Okay, so you have already done that method. You already know कि किस तरीके से cases करते हैं. So that's a very popular method of training and development also. Usually large case studies नहीं use करते हैं, छोटे छोटे case studies जैसे आपको दिए मैंने वैसे वाले हम छोटे वाले use करते हैं so that people come up with solutions really fast during the training programs. Then video tapes, as I said, instead of doing it again and again, the same thing that you have to do. For example, now दो लोग नहीं है join कर रहे हैं training आज का ये program, आज का ये session. So what they can do is it is already a video tape, it is already on YouTube, so you can always go back and listen to it as many times as you want. It's available with you. So this is how video tapes. बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस जैसे ऑनबोर्डिंग के टाइम पे कर लेती हैं कि पूरी कंपनी का एक वीडियो अच्छा सा बना लिया, कंपनी इंट्रोडक्शन सबके जिनके अंदर जितने सीनियर मेंबर्स हैं या फाउंडर्स हैं या ओनर्स हैं उनके बारे में इंट्रोडक्शन भी दे दिया, जो मेजर चीजें हैं जो कभी चेंज नहीं होगी, चेंज इन द सेंस बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स चेंज नहीं होते यूजुअली इतनी जल्दी, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन गोल्स 50 साल के 30 साल के विजन वो जल्दी चेंज नहीं होते. सो यू क्रिएट दैट वीडियो and then every time somebody is onboarded you just show them that video. So that's how video tapes are used. Also video tapes are used जैसे बहुत सारी movies को हम अपनी training program में use करते हैं. So for example चक दे का बहुत यूज होता है, चक दे इंडिया मूवी को के बीच बीच में छोटे छोटे से क्लिप्स एडिट करके we use it for motivation, persuasion, all those things, right? बहुत सारे ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स के अंदर वो वीडियो टेप्स, ऐसे बहुत सारे इंग्लिश मूवीज भी हैं, हिंदी मूवीज भी हैं, सॉन्ग्स हैं. सो you just use them for motivators, for showing them how this behavior ended up doing this. So these are the things. शोले का बहुत यूज हुआ था बीच में as a movie for training programs, बहुत सारी चीजों के लिए. एक रुका हुआ फैसला स्टिल यूज्ड लीडरशिप ट्रेनिंग के अंदर. एक रुका हुआ फैसला इज बेसिकली एन इंग्लिश वर्जन मतलब dubbed in Hindi. So English movies still shown in so many organizations. We still show that. Right? So बहुत सारी movies हैं already. So movies को if you start looking from that perspective कि how it is being useful, मैं भी अब जब से ट्रेनिंग में आई हूँ लास्ट 10 साल से, आई डोंट थिंक कि कोई पिक्चर मैंने मूवी ऐसी देखी नहीं होगी जिसको मैंने ट्रेनिंग के नजरिए से ना सोचा होता कि ये वाला सीन निकाल के यूज किया जा सकता है इन दिस पर्टिकुलर ट्रेनिंग. सो दैट्स हाउ यू स्टार्ट थिंकिंग फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव. And it's very Hindustan, I mean India mein, that's the best part is people are so what do you call it, they relate themselves so much with movies, so it's very easy to give them those traits because Bollywood se jaldi se impressed रहते थे. So this is how you can incorporate those things. Then role playing, that also you have done, so you understand what role playing is. Like we did it in interview, people actually taking up those roles and behaving like them. So हम क्या करते हैं training development methods में, that you give them a small caselet, छोटा सा case, and then you ask them to play that role in the organization during the training program. So it's funny also, right? Because you can bring in a lot of humor into that. It's learning also, and it's action on the job. So that means you're putting it on the job itself. So application भी आपको पता चल जाता है कैसे करना. So SOP trainings, कैसे किसी को processes के बारे में बताना है. Discipline, punctuality, attitude changes, behavior changes के अंदर role play plays very important role. Then behavior modeling. Now behavior modeling is basically a scientific method of how you can actually change behavior of somebody. So through behavior modeling में बहुत सारी चीजें आती हैं, बहुत सारी exercises and games हैं जिनको आप introduce करके उनका behavior धीरे धीरे change करने के लिए उनको move कर सकते हैं. Right? We will try and do it this Saturday, next Saturday, I think. Because tomorrow I want to complete this PPT. The next Saturday we will do some exercises purely on how you can actually do training and development. Because training and development is as much about theory, more about practical. कि किस तरीके से आप अपना सुंदर सा ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम डिजाइन, सुंदर इन द सेंस दैट वेरी स्ट्रक्चर्ड ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम, किसके बाद क्या होने वाला है. फिर ट्रेनिंग इफेक्टिवनेस टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. In India, many training programs are being run by many organizations. बहुत सारे कंसल्टेंट्स को भी हायर करते हैं. मैक्सिमम ट्रेनर्स को इफेक्टिवनेस कैलकुलेट करना नहीं आता. किस तरीके से एक प्रोग्राम का आउटकम आना चाहिए वो कैलकुलेट करना बहुत कम. सो दे आर वेरी सक्सेसफुल, वेरी लेस नंबर ऑफ सक्सेसफुल ट्रेनर्स इन इंडिया. कॉर्पोरेट ट्रेनर आपको बहुत मिल जाएंगे, हर कोई आपको कर देगा. आपको प्रोफेशन कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स सिखाने वाले आपको लगेगा हजारों ट्रेनर्स अवेलेबल हैं. बट एक्चुअली किस लेवल पर आपको कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स आना चाहिए ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में जाने के लिए, those trainings will be given by very less people. I mean very less people will tell you the effectiveness कि किस तरीके से implementation भी करोगे, क्या गलतियां होंगी, उन गलतियों को कैसे सुधारोगे, all that. So frivolous वाले बहुत सारे मिल जाएंगे. So whenever you choose a career into training and development, in short, when I joined my first company, not first company, the second company was basically a training and development company only. So that's when I realized जब हम conduct करने जाते थे program कि program conduct करना is one thing. उस program के बाद का outcome क्या आ रहा है लोगों में, वो निकालना is the maximum painful work. Your lot of efforts goes into that, and that's when you realize कि जब तक आपने change देखा ही नहीं किसी के अंदर, so your training program is successful or not really doesn't come out. सो ट्रेनिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट कंपनी में क्या होता है कि हमने कैलेंडर बना लिया, इतनी ट्रेनिंग्स करेंगे एक साल में, बहुत अच्छा लगता है, सबको खुशी मिलती है कंपनी में, लोग भी आ जाते हैं, खाना खाने के लिए आ जाते हैं, स्नैक्स करने आ जाते हैं, खेलने आ जाते हैं, सब करने के लिए आ जाते हैं. बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, एंड ऑफ द ईयर, इफ यू डोंट सी चेंज हैपनिंग इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, दैट्स व्हेन यू रियलाइज कि चेंज का कुछ फायदा नहीं हुआ. इतने एफर्ट्स भी डाले, फंड्स भी डाले, सब कुछ किया. So effectiveness should come out of it. That's the best thing. So that behavioral modeling basically works towards that. कि किस तरीके से आपके बिहेवियर को मॉडल किया जाए, चेंज किया जाए, जिसकी उसके साथ आपका जो मैक्सिमम बेनिफिट आना चाहिए, दैट शुड स्टार्ट कमिंग. More than functional training, behavioral trainings are more difficult to give or conduct. Because people learn अपनी जॉब से रिलेटेड चीजें, they learn fast. बट अपने बिहेवियर फर्स्ट, क्योंकि उनको मालूम ही नहीं करना था, दे एक्चुअली आर इन डिनायल मोड कि मेरा बिहेवियर खराब है, ये कैसे हुआ. So first thing will come out like that. Whenever you do training need analysis and you tell them that this is the problem that you have. One, because the person has performed really well, functional area में बहुत अच्छा काम किया, undoubtedly. But because उसके अंदर भी problem है, उसको बताना. Right? Maximum sexual abusers in organizations are usually the people जो काम बहुत अच्छा करते हैं. So company बहुत फ्लिक्स में आ जाती है कि इनके साथ क्या किया जाए. They are really good worker, काम बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं, प्रॉफिट्स लेकर आ रहे हैं कंपनी में, सेल्स ग्रोथ भी है, बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं. But then they are abusers और उनकी complaints भी आ रही हैं साथ साथ. So what do we do? So that sexual abuser is basically a behavior change that has to happen. You have to study. हम कंपनी से निकालना is the most easiest thing. Behavior change करना is what is the most difficult task. And some good trainers, some good organizations also spend time in that. जैसे हमने एक organization में, there was one person, excellent worker, मतलब his knowledge about his job was excellent, very sharp mind. आप उसको कुछ बोलो अभी, like in this training program, suppose this classroom, he will pick up these things and he will start showing implementation also, that fast, that smart. But sexual abuser, regular, different complaints, हर तरीके से, हर तरफ से. Then we found out that there was a problem in his family. since childhood. सारी खोज निकाली, सब कुछ प्रॉब्लम सब निकाला कि क्या प्रॉब्लम रही है, क्या से उसका चाइल्डहुड रहा है, व्हाट आर द थिंग्स दैट ही हैड गॉन थ्रू. वहां से स्टार्ट किया एंड देन वी फाउंड आउट दैट दिस पर्सन नीड्स मोर साइकोलॉजिकल psychiatrist kind of a help. So we as an organization gave him those counseling sessions as a gift from the organization. We ensured that the psychologist is coming to the office, he's meeting that psychiatrist, that sessions are happening. People started calling him ki pagal ho gaya hai, you know, different kind of people will judge, but this person ensures that 2 साल तक उसने वो छोड़ा ही नहीं. कंपनी ने तो सिर्फ 6 सेशंस गिफ्ट किए थे, but he ensures that he is completing his diagnostic. And now you will meet this person. This person has changed completely. He started respecting women so much. He's understood those things कि किस तरीके से दोनों genders का एक साथ काम करना बहुत जरूरी है. So those things, the companies spend time into these kind of people only when they realize they are really, really wonderful to work with for a longer term period. So that is also going to happen. So that's called behavioral modeling. ये different types of training है, बहुत अलग अलग तरीके से. इसके अलावा भी आई नो बहुत सारी चीजें होंगी जिसके थ्रू ट्रेनिंग कराई जा सकती है, बट दीज आर मेजर मेथड्स दैट इज बीइंग यूज्ड. सो वन इज पब्लिक ट्रेनिंग वेयर यू हैव अ ट्रेनर जो बहुत सारे पब्लिक को एक साथ ट्रेनिंग दे रहा है, 200 लोग 250 लोग कॉन्फ्रेंस रूम्स में. You know, generally these are very energetic motivational training. So motivational trainer, inspirational trainers are usually do these kind of training. Then virtual trainings are like this. That this is what we are doing. Right? Virtually, we are teaching and learning and taking that training. In-house training is which is happening within the organization. Somebody, the teacher is also inside, the trainer is also inside, and people is also inside. On-the-job training is while you're performing your job and you are getting training. For example, machine operate कर रहे हैं, तो machine operation का साथ साथ आपको सिखाया जा रहा है, you are doing it साथ साथ, and you are learning साथ. Right? So this is how it is. Online training is more of virtual training in a similar mode. But virtual training में ये होता है कि आप recorded भी देख सकते हो, pre-recorded. It not necessarily has to be live. Online is more live when you are in front of the trainer or your coach. Consulting. Consulting is one-to-one consultation, more about coaching somebody, counseling somebody. That this is where you're going wrong, this is how you need to correct. So more of a consultation that I have these problems, how do I resolve that problem? Something related to job, something related to attitude, behavior, anything. So people are coming to trainer or coach or mentor for consultation. Then round table. So round table is basically where people are sitting and discussing the trainings, the growth, the learning, what we need to learn. So एक दूसरे के साथ आपस में ही, it's more like all the peers are sitting, similar level of people. इस तरीके से group discussions करते हैं. Similar level of people getting involved into one topic and talking about it. That's called round table training. So not really. You do not have a coach or a trainer present there. There are instructions which has been given to you. You're following that instruction, discussing, over discussing the discussions you are learning on that. Then role playing, you know that role playing, what is role playing, right? Then case studies also you are aware. Workshop, very much similar to public training, but workshop generally happens for a longer period of time. So it cannot be for an hour or two. Workshops are for 6 hours, 7 hours. So workshop का एक common objective होना चाहिए that after the workshop, what is it that you have changed? So you immediately show something, some changes, because a lot of activities, a lot of games, exercises are being done, a lot of on-the-job things are being told. So workshops इसीलिए conduct कराती organization that few changes can be seen immediately after the workshop is over. Usually workshops are for 2 days, 3 days. इस तरीके से प्लान की जाती है. Conference is basically more of you have one person speaking, and then there is for example, you have chosen a topic, right? Say let's talk about, we are talking about this particular topic of training and development. So now training and development, maybe I am very good at telling you how to design training. Right? So I'll give you my lecture on that. Then there is another faculty who is really good at telling that कौन से methods use किए जा सकते हैं, what kind of training. So that person will talk about that. So conference is about one particular topic But then you can have the various faculties talking to you about this. Then e-learning. Now e-learning is like attending courses like Udemy ke or Coursera ke ye sare courses we do it. So this is called e-learning. E-learning generally happens at your own pace. You can decide your time, you can decide your own pace. कैसे पढ़ना है, कब पढ़ना है, आज 15 मिनट, कल 1 घंटा. So totally up to you how you want to do it. Then mentoring is again one-to-one largely. Mentoring is basically about showing direction and guiding people towards their goals. In-basket training is basically there is a lot of exercises and games involved into in-basket training. So usually in-basket में क्या होता था कि हम chips डाल के एक basket में रख देते. You pick up the chips, whatever comes, you will have to then do that. So very similar to जैसे वो game होता है. What do you call it? Musical chair. Whatever comes as a punishment, you have to do that thing. So in-basket training is basically that somebody has already thought it through properly, and then they have put in a basket a lot of training programs, a lot of games and activities which is related to what you're learning should be, and then you are performing those in basket exercises. Orientation, you already know, so not going into details, right? Telling somebody about something new. Brainstorming is very similar to round table, but in brainstorming, you're discussing more about one particular topic. And then the idea of brainstorming is that you will come out of with a solution. So it's less about training, but it's more about development. That you are into problem solving, decision making. ऐसी सारी चीजों के लिए we use brainstorming. Demonstration, again very easy, where you have to do a product demonstration. वो सीखना है, so for that generally demonstration कि आपकी organization के क्या products हैं, क्या services हैं. You are into sales and marketing. You're going out. How are you going to sell them? So this is how the demonstration training is done. So you have a product. You are telling each and everything about the product. Leaflet है, कुछ भी है, उसके बारे में बता रहे हैं. Then internship. Again, you are aware about internship क्या होता है? जब भी आप कोई course कर रहे होते हैं किसी भी जगह पे, so under that course, you have to take a practical learning also of that course. That's called internship. Internship is usually on the job. When you are there, you are applying whatever you have studied. So जैसे medical में ज़रूरी है internship करना, law में ज़रूरी है articleship या internship करना, CS के लिए ज़रूरी है, MBAs के लिए ज़रूरी है. So any good professional course that you are learning and teaching, it's important as a part of the organization course also. It's important that you undergo internship, learn the theory into practice. Then job rotation. Now organization mein it's a very common method which is used for job rotation. So that means you are performing a job, say you are really good in recruitment and hiring. But over a period of time, the company, someone realizes that if you put this person, because this person sells the company really well. So recruitment में आप यही कर रहे हो, right? You're selling your job, you're selling your organization really well to the candidate. So they change your job to sales and see whether you can perform really well or not. This is mostly done on the basis of people's interest. A lot of people I have seen कि sales से recruitment में आ जाते हैं, recruitment से sales and marketing में चले जाते हैं because somewhat it's very similar to each other. So that's called job rotation. So usually it is done by your seniors looking into your skills and competencies, that you are really good at this thing and you're really good at this thing. Stop detecting my camera. I don't know what happened. You can hear me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so management games, again, very much related to what in basket training, but management games is more about creating a game out of teaching you something. So selling कैसे करेंगे उसका game बना दिया and then we keep that train. So बहुत सारे management games होते हैं और every day some good trainers, some good people are utilizing their times in designing more management games, right? I will try to give you some overview when we will do these practical things about training. Management games and basket exercises, but I will give you an idea. Interviewing, you know it, so I don't have to go into the details, but interviewing for training, how we can use it. So in these interviews, we generally talk about what are the skills gaps people have and how they can improve their skills gaps. क्या क्या चीजें वो कर सकते हैं. So more into question answer way, but you are telling the people about what are the gaps. Exercises are activities that is generally used in training programs. Different kind of activities and exercises. It's a method of group discussion. Again, very much related to brainstorming and roundtable. But group discussions are used for communication skills training, presentation skills trainings. All these trainings के अंदर इसका use अभी भी होता ही है बहुत ज़्यादा. And then last is learning and doing. So when you learn something, you start doing it, or you join the job, start working from day one, and you slowly learn while doing those things practically. These are few methods. इसके अलावा भी बहुत सारे हैं. Don't know how many are there, but slowly, eventually, you will learn. So अभी हम training and development की बात कर रहे थे for improvement in some areas, getting some new knowledge or improving knowledge that you already have. Now, reskilling is a very important part of training and development. So reskilling is that you knew something, but it has become obsolete over a period of time, right? Because new technologies have come, new techniques have come. So people who come from longer break, people who are looking at changing careers, so people who are looking at they somehow realize कि मैं इस चीज के लिए नहीं बना हूँ. I think I need to do something more, something different. So reskilling is done for that. And a lot of organizations give chances of people to learn and do reskilling. Suppose आप sales में थे, you knew sales really well, but somehow you want to now change yourself maybe into marketing, more into different kind of aspects of marketing. So how are you going to do that? So I'll give you an example. We have an organization जिनके साथ हम काम कर रहे हैं. So in this organization there is a CA. Right? He gave interview for CA position. Join करना था उसको as a finance person. And then somehow over a period of time, join करने से पहले ही, he realized that I'm not really meant for doing CA वाला work, right? Not the financial things. So when he started to get to know about the company इस तरीके का काम करती है, बहुत culture and art, public art space. So he said, I'm more attuned towards that. So will you give me an opportunity? So when he joined the organization, उसने CA वाला कोई काम नहीं किया. He actually joined as an artist. Totally different. So people over a period of time realizes that जो भी हमने study किया है वो शायद उसके लिए बने नहीं है. Study हमने कर लिया because parents का pressure है, society का pressure है, पैसा कमाने का pressure है, lots of pressures are there on everyone. So sometimes we just choose the careers purely because from the point of view कि ये career choose कर लेंगे तो पैसा अच्छा बन जाएगा. But over a period of time, people have started realizing, especially I tell you, I have seen practically बहुत सारे examples after that movie came out, Tamasha, Ranbir Kapoor ka, right? And after this movie, I had seen so many people changing their career because they got so inspired by the movie. कि किस तरीके से, because you're not happy, you're living a life of what you're doing every day, every same thing, especially in corporate. This is how it happens. So that's when people realize. So this is called reskilling, that to do something new, you start skilling yourself again. So how reskilling is done in the organization? These are few. So one is mobility and urbanization. Next, ensure that कि reskilling की जरूरत आ गई आपको. Right? Every day new things are changing. Every day urbanization is changing. लोगों की mobility change हो रही है, एक जगह से दूसरी जगह shift हो रहे हैं. So all these things ensures that you are always doing something new. You're learning something new. You are reskilling yourself every time. Globalization for sure. जितनी नई कंपनीज आएंगी, जितने नए ट्रेंड्स आते रहेंगे, so you'll have to do acknowledge that globalization के साथ साथ आप अपने आप को चेंज कर रहे हैं in every area of your life, every phase of your life, you're skilling. So for example, even if you're not changing a complete functional change in you, HR में ही रहना है, so HR में हमें फाइंड आउट करना पड़ेगा कि HR में लॉन्ग टर्म पर रहने के लिए हमें क्या क्या सीखना है. So HR metrics, HR analytics, this is a new things which has come. right? Very much related to IT. So a little bit of IT knowledge and then understanding किस तरीके से formulas work करेंगे, मैं अपने data को किस तरीके से 100% उसमें use कर सकती हूँ. So all these things are part of globalization that's happening. Then demographic changes. Now people coming from remote places, छोटे छोटे शहरों से बड़े उसमें आ जाते हैं, and then they realize कि हमारे को वो चीजें नहीं सिखाई गई कभी. It was not part of the course curriculum. It was never taught. घर पे भी नहीं सिखाया. So these are few things. So for example, spoken English. Right? Many metro cities, people who live in nuclear family, की parents हैं, दोनों अच्छी job कर रहे हैं. So बच्चे जो हैं वो बचपन से ही सीखते हैं कि घर में भी इंग्लिश में बात कर रहे हैं. They are studying in English medium school. अब यही सिनेरियो छोटे शहरों में जो भी tier 4, tier 3 cities है वहाँ नहीं होगा ज़्यादा. Because you are talking in Hindi with your parents always, या अपनी mother language में, regional language में जो भी आपकी है, उसमें आप बात कर रहे हो, and somehow you miss on that part कि English को इतना importance देना है. And when you start building your career, over a period of time you realize that English has become such an important part of the culture. Because organizations are adapting them, और अब तो चलो थोड़ा बहुत improvement आ गया है कि people still take English speaking people. But बीच में there was 20 years of time when people are actually mad about spoken English कि आपको नहीं आती है, so that means you are not really good for your job. Right? This used to happen. So people used to get, so these demographic changes कि आप छोटे city से बड़े city में जा रहे हो, तब बड़े city से छोटे city में जा रहे हो, then you need to reskill yourself. Many companies अगर आपका transfer कर रही है, for example you have always stayed in Delhi or Mumbai, but now they want to transfer you क्योंकि वो अपना एक नया setup बना रहे हैं, maybe in tier 3 tier 4 cities. मान लेते हैं चलो कि रुद्रपुर में बना रहे हैं अपनी कंपनी. So now to go to रुद्रपुर तो चलो बहुत हिंदी स्पीकिंग वाला एरिया हो गया. Let's say अहमदाबाद में बना रहे हैं. Now Ahmedabad is more of a Gujarati spoken people. So the company will ensure that with your demographic change, that the change in city, you need to learn the local language also. Or they will give preference to people who know and understand local language. So this is the part of the reskilling that happens. Right, then changing nature of careers. अब careers हमारे जो पहले हम लोग जिस तरीके से डिजाइन करते थे अपना career, it has changed a lot. Why? Because lot of new startups, lot of new organizations have come up. So अब आपका role HR का ही है मान लेते हैं because we are studying HR. अब HR in a corporate setup works in a different manner altogether. You will never become a generalist because हर एक फंक्शन को करने के लिए 20-20 लोग हैं. अब 10,000 लोगों की कंपनी है, they cannot be one generalist. So there would be one CHRO जिसको सब आता है थोड़ा बहुत सब कुछ right? सारे एरिया ऑफ HR. But then उनके अंदर सब अलग अलग फंक्शंस हैं. 10 people hiring doing just recruitments, 10 people doing employee relationships, 10 people doing talent management, 10 people doing employee engagement only कि लोगों के साथ गेम्स खेलने हैं, मस्ती करना है, मजाक करना है, all those engagement activities. And then few people are just taking care of compensation and rewards and recognition. So this is how your departments in HR differs in larger organization. अब वही आप smaller organization में आ जाओ, so there are 2 or 3 people in HR managing people, right? Size of the organization के हिसाब से 500 लोगों की कंपनी है, 3-4 HR is good enough. अब फिर स्टार्टअप पे आ जाओ, स्टार्टअप इज वेरी स्मॉल सेटअप, 25-30 लोगों की कंपनी, so only one HR is enough to handle. Here you become generalist. You need to know everything from recruitment, from performance, from training, everything you need to know. So even if you have studied in the same college with similar people, depending upon what kind of career you are making in which organization, you need to rescale your things. Exactly. Then non-linear career continuum. So non-linear career continuum means that your career is progressing in a very good rate. सही तरीके से चल रहा है, सब कुछ बढ़िया चल रहा है, but because आपको suppose linear growth नहीं हो रही है, ऊपर नहीं बढ़ रहे हैं आप, but you need to have some more challenging work, some more job responsibilities given to you, or you want it to be a part of your complete career advancement. So that's when you do reskilling. So for example, उसी एग्जाम्पल को जैसे पहले हमने किया था कि आप वर्किंग इन अ लार्ज ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, अभी तक आपने 2 ही फंक्शन सीखे हैं, यू नो एम्प्लॉय रिलेशनशिप्स, यू नो रिक्रूटमेंट. You've never got a chance to do performance management or training or diversity and inclusion, नहीं कर पाए क्योंकि कंपनी इतनी बड़ी है, so many people are there in HR. So, अब आपकी ग्रोथ ऐसे नहीं हो रही, मतलब आपकी डेजिग्नेशन बहुत इंप्रूव नहीं हो रहा है, बट आपको ऐसे वाली ग्रोथ चाहिए. You need to start learning all the areas of HR. So that's called non-linear career continuum, and you need to learn more about other parts of HR, other parts of different functions, and then you become more skilled to that. Then advancing technologies and automation. As I keep saying, technology is improving. In artificial intelligence is there in HR. Metrics आ गए हैं, सब तरीके की नई नई चीजें आ गई हैं, नए सॉफ्टवेयर आ रहे हैं. To install the software and half of your job जो आपको manually करना पड़ता था is done by computers now. आपको एक बार data feed कराना है, then everything is done. All the reports comes out automatically. So HRs के पास now there is a lot of time to involve themselves with people. So when you learn technology and automation, you improve your job in so many ways. Then widening skills gap. अब skill gap है हमारे अंदर, उसके लिए आपको reskilling करना पड़ेगा. That's training and development basically, जो भी तक हम पढ़ रहे हैं. Then last is resource scarcity and climate change. So अब आपके पास resources नहीं है. That means you do not have people to perform job. So what is the ultimate solution the company has? कि जो existing है उनको reskill करो, उनको भी वो काम सिखाओ, and then you utilize them into the other. So that is where you are doing resource scarcity and climate change. It can also happen with people. It can also happen with other resources. For example, products हैं, services हैं, raw material नहीं है. So आपको किस तरीके से दूसरी चीजों के साथ काम करना है, that is also being taught into this. कुछ साल पहले कंपोजिट मैनेजमेंट, कूड़ा को मैनेज करने के लिए देयर वाज नो करियर इन दैट, बट हम इंसानों ने, ह्यूमंस ने इतना कूड़ा इकट्ठा कर दिया हर जगह, इतना कूड़ा कर दिया है कि नाउ वी नीड अ करियर आउट ऑफ इट. देयर आर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वर्किंग ऑन कंपोजिट मैनेजमेंट एंड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट. दे हेल्प इन रिसाइकलिंग, दे हेल्प इन वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, all these things. So it has become a complete industry in itself. Right? So जब हम problems करते हैं तो हम solutions पे society की निकालते हैं. So this is a very good example of कि scarcity आई, climate change हो रहा है, and then we bring solutions. So many NGOs developed over the last 10-15 years who are working into sustainable development. कैसे और पेड़ लगाए जाएं तो ठीक होगा, किस तरीके से हम society को सुधार सकते हैं. All these addiction management, so many things. So all these things are happening purely because people are reskilling, coming out of corporates, going into social sector, helping in developing that. And social sector has become a very large setup now. Good career progression can happen in that sector. Right? So this is reskilling. अब ये कल करेंगे ट्रेनिंग एनालिसिस. टू मच वाला इंफॉर्मेशन हो जाएगी आज, बहुत सब कुछ है ट्रेनिंग में. हाउ विल यू डू इट इन दिस क्लास? ओके, so this is your process and steps. ट्रेनिंग नीड एनालिसिस कैसे करेंगे ये सब वो है, डिजाइन कैसे करेंगे वो है. दिस इज सैंपल ट्रेनिंग, कैसे बजट बनेगा. दिस इज इवैल्यूएशन, व्हिच इज इफेक्टिवनेस कैलकुलेट कैसे होती है, किस तरीके से हाउ एम्प्लॉइज रिएक्शन चेंज होता है, हाउ लर्निंग हैपेंस, हाउ बिहेवियर हैपन, हाउ रिजल्ट्स हैपन. यही 2 क्लासेस ले जाता है. Do a lot of research please on training and development. It's very important. If you are really interested in this area, it requires a lot of research in terms of studying, self-study. Read something, come back. So you can read about these areas, basically how the cycle works. This one. We are going to do it tomorrow. किस तरीके से नीड एनालिसिस करते हैं प्रॉपर्ली, सोशल फ्रेमवर्क्स कैसे बनेंगे, ट्रेनिंग कैलेंडर एंड प्रोग्राम डिजाइन कैसे. तो ये तीनों चीज, और डिलीवरी फॉलो. डिलीवरी का तो चलो भी कर लिया है कि मेथड्स कैसे होते हैं. मोर अबाउट फॉलो अप, विच इज ट्रेनिंग इफेक्टिवनेस, कि किस तरीके से आप ट्रेनिंग इफेक्टिवनेस को कैलकुलेट करोगे, कैसे देखेंगे. So these 4 areas: training need analysis, Solution framework, program designing, and follow-up. Come back with a lot of study in this, and then we will do. Any questions so far? How many of you have got books? खरीदती है?
I have.
Okay, Vanshika has Kavita.
I also have.
Hmm?
Yes, we are book.
Not able to hear you.
I have Texman's book, HRM.
Good. Okay. Tripti, you have book?
No, ma'am.
खरीद लो ना या लाइब्रेरी से इशू करा लो if you're in college. Or take a e-learning book. I mean, e-books are available of HRM online. Do that. Because otherwise, वो नहीं पढ़ोगे साथ साथ, then it would be a little difficult to understand this. Because कुछ jargons, कुछ चीजें मैं ऐसे बोलती रहूंगी, फिर वो ऊपर से निकल जाएगा कि इसका मीनिंग क्या है. क्या बचेगा?
I had a question, like, what if a person is very stubborn and it's very difficult to change his attitude and it's taking a long time? So how hard can the company try to change his attitude? Even if the company pushes him to take trainings and all, still he doesn't want to. What will the company do then?
See, initially, companies do is motivate them to join the training programs. जैसे मैंने बताया, a lot of people come to training program कि आज snacks अच्छे मिलने वाले हैं, खाना अच्छा मिलने वाला है. They provide them lunches, right? So usually, so that's very common motivator. Second motivator is they really want to progress in their career. So you tell them that your promotions are going to happen only once you have these trainings. वहाँ पर काफी फर्क पड़ जाता है. थर्ड मोटिवेटर इज फाइनेंशियल मोटिवेटर, दैट योर सैलरी विल इंप्रूव वंस यू डू दिस ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम. उसके बाद भी कोई बहुत ज्यादा स्टबर्न होता है, देन यू गिव देम डंडा. फिर देन दैट वर्क्स की इफ यू वोंट डू इट यू विल लूज योर जॉब, यू विल गेट पनिश्ड. सो फर्स्ट इज पॉजिटिव रीइंफोर्समेंट. अगेन इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ एचआर. हम अभी इतना डिटेल्स में एचआर में नहीं जा सकते बिकॉज ये हम जो पढ़ रहे हैं ये मेजर फंक्शंस पढ़ लिए, बट इन फंक्शंस को परफॉर्म कैसे करना है वो सब चीजें हम डिटेल में जा ही नहीं पा रहे हैं बिकॉज ऑफ द टाइम ड्यूरेशन दैट वी हैव. बट प्रैक्टिकली ये सब चीजें इसी तरीके से ही हो जाएंगी. So positive reinforcements and negative reinforcements होते हैं कंपनी में. Positives are like you give somebody training with motivating them on a positive way. जैसे हम डॉग्स को ट्रेन करते हैं घर में, राइट? हाउ डू यू ट्रेन डॉग्स? बहुत सारे लोग करते हैं कि ट्रीट्स देकर, कि छोटे छोटे ट्रीट्स दे दिए उनको, शेक हैंड सिखा दिया, हेलो करना, कुछ कुछ करना से दिस इज हाउ दे ट्रेन डॉग इनटू. जितना अच्छा ट्रेनर होगा उतना आप देखोगे डॉग भी इवैल्यूएट हो जाए, इवॉल्व हो जाता है. they learn to jump, they learn to climb tree to certain extent. बहुत सारी jumps कर लेते हैं, बहुत सारी exercises कर लेते हैं, fetch and go खेल लेते हैं, बहुत सारे different things. So that majorly happens to positive reinforcement. Some trainers are very strict, so they use stick method, डंडा दिखा के they teach dogs or animals, any pet, थोड़ा डरा के, so वो डर से भी सीख जाता है. बट जब हमने साइकोलॉजी में स्टडी किया था, इट्स कॉल्ड कंडीशनल लर्निंग. सो कंडीशनल लर्निंग यूजुअली शोज कि पॉजिटिव reinforcements works better than negative reinforcements. Negative reinforcement से पेट्स डरेंगे, काम कर भी लेंगे आपको, बट ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम वो रिलैक्स हो जाते हैं. पॉजिटिव reinforcement से उनको कंडीशनिंग लर्निंग हो जाती है कि मैं ये हैबिट करूंगा तो मुझे ट्रीट मिलेगी, सो वो ऑटोमेटिकली हैबिट बन जाती है. So that's why they last for longer period of time. So अब बाद में उनको 1-2 महीने बाद ट्रीट्स देना भी बंद कर देंगे, उनका बिहेवियर चेंज नहीं. That's how it is being done. So it's called conditional learning. Conditional learning का एक बहुत positive example और भी है, मतलब not positive. It's basically shown by a experiment. So psychology is full of experiments इस तरीके के. So उसमें क्या किया गया? I'll just tell you this experiment. That a group of five monkeys were kept in a room. Now, जैसे ही out of these 5 monkeys, one used to climb up the stairs. There were stairs in the room, and used to go and get cheese. तो जैसे वो करता था, बाकी के 4 को ये सिखाया गया था कि they used to beat this person up, this monkey up. जैसे ही वो कोई भी climb करेगा, they will beat them up. So this happens in rotation. पहले एक चढ़ता है 4 मारते हैं, फिर सेकंड चढ़ता है फिर 4 मारते हैं. So this is what happens. Slowly they took one monkey out and they brought the new monkey inside. So 4 old monkeys and 1 new monkey. So the 1 new monkey saw the cheese. He saw the stairs. He thought कि मैं climb करके cheese ले लूँगा. Suddenly बाकी चारों से मारने लगते हैं. He did not realize कि क्यों मार रहे हैं. Obviously because they cannot communicate. So next एक और नया पुराने monkey को निकाल के एक और नया monkey डालते हैं. So then next new monkey also does the same thing. So अब जो ये पहले वाला नया monkey आया था जिसको पिटाई हुई थी वो भी उसे मारने लगता है without even knowing कि क्यों मार रहे हैं. So slowly all new monkeys comes in the room, all the old monkeys get out and they still do the same things. So this is called conditional learning. This is how we get training in society. हमें पता ही नहीं होता आधी से ज्यादा चीजें कि क्यों नहीं करना है पर हम कर रहे हैं बिकॉज सोसाइटी ने हमें सिखा दिया है. दिस इज अ वेरी गुड एग्जांपल ऑफ हाउ साइकोलॉजी वर्क्स विद कंडीशनल लर्निंग. तो इसी तरीके से पॉजिटिव रिइंफोर्समेंट्स भी काम करते हैं कि आप किसी एनिमल को एक कमरे में बंद कर दो, आप उसे बोलो घंटी बजाने के लिए, दैट पर्सन पुशेस द बटन एंड सडनली द ट्रीट कम्स. सो देन ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम जैसे वो घंटी बजाएगा ट्रीट आएगी. बट स्लोली ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम व्हाट विल हैपन, ना घंटी बजेगी तो उसकी हैबिट हो जाएगी कुछ भी उसके बाद एक्शन परफॉर्म करने, नॉट जस्ट वेट फॉर द ट्रीट. So this is called positive reinforcements in conditional learning. So this is how we also get training. इसी तरीके से इसको ट्रेनिंग में यूज किया जाता है. So we don't teach these things when you're telling somebody training and development करने के लिए, but as a trainer we should know about all these things कि कैसे आप किसी की psychological changes लेकर आ सकते हो, because human mind is the most complex thing in the world. How your brain works, my brain may not work that way. तो ब्रेन साइज सेम है, ब्रेन बनाने का सब कुछ केमिकल सब सेम है, सब चीजें सेम है, बट स्टिल आवर ब्रेन वर्क्स इन अ टोटली डिफरेंट मैनर देन द अदर पर्सन. And it gets difficult to understand how somebody can get motivated to learn, train, make changes in their behavior. That is why हम सब इतने common है, इतनी सब चीजें हमारे में common है, still we are so different from each other. Only because of the brain capacity and capability. That's why training is more of understanding psychology and the culture that they are in and then bringing the changes. चलिए कल मिलते हैं 6 o'clock. Have a good day. Do send the assignments to me.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night.